I usually don't go live this late, but I did want to go live to bring you part two of the broadcast that I did today, which covers a funeral home which ran out of room inside of its facilities and decided to rent two U-Haul trucks to store the bodies of the decedents outside of the funeral home, uh, not asking for help from anybody and leaving human remains outside unrefrigerated. It's just a horrific scene, a horrific thing to talk about, but it's something that I feel that needs to be covered. My name is DutyRon, retired New York City police detective, 20 plus years of law enforcement, and I'm here tonight to bring you part two of my series on this Flatlands Avenue, Utica Avenue, Flatlands district of Brooklyn funeral home, who disgraced the funeral business by stacking up, from what my local law enforcement sources say, close to 100 human remains, 100 bodies left outside of this funeral home. So I'm going to get right into it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you will get all things DutyRon when I go live. Share this out onto your social media platform. Share it onto Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and follow me there. All one word, DutyRon, on all social media platforms. I want to just say hello quickly to Bells Reborn, Matty Boy Sully, Trevor JP, my moderators, all of my Patreon supporters and channel members. I greatly appreciate that. Hello, Miss Demeanor. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hello, Gina. Hi, Brooke. Welcome. Scout Inquirer. Thank you so much for being in here. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I am going to give you the disclaimer, the DutyRon disclaimer. If you are suffering from PTSD, anxiety, or you're not in the right frame of mind to watch this kind of stuff, please exit the video right now, because we're going to jump right into it. Hello, Christopher. Thank you for coming. Hello, Simone, Evie Bubbles, Sweet Crazy. All of the good ones are here. Cinnamon Hot Hot. Thank you for joining. I hope the video is good and the audio is good. Again, this is a very, very difficult situation, and I want to put a disclaimer out there real quick. The overwhelming high majority, probably close into the 90s percent of the funeral directors do and conduct their business with dignity and respect for deceased. I worked in a funeral home for a short period of time, but I have a lot of good friends who are funeral directors. So this is by no means dogging. There's good and bad in every industry. There's good and bad, as I say, in the police field. There's good and bad in the mechanic field. And any type of field, you're going to have good and bad people. So I have to say that real quick is just remember, this is a very small minority of funeral directors that are taking advantage of a situation. I believe this was money driven. I believe this funeral director was greedy and got ahead of himself and got himself into big trouble, because just remember, folks, he did not report this. He was reported by his neighbors. This is a residential slash business district where his business is. He did not come forward and report this. He was reported by his people in his neighborhood. So this funeral director, and I'm not going to be mentioning his name. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for the love from Seattle. This, Sandy K, great to see you. Lanky Tour as well. This funeral director did not reach out for help. He could have reached out to the city of New York, to the police department, to the state of New York. Remember, funeral homes in New York are regulated by New York State. So he could have reached out to New York State. He could have reached out for any type of assistance, but he failed to do that. So let's segue into this mini clip. And if you don't mind, while the clip is going, I won't be talking to you guys. I'm going to keep the mic muted. I hope so too. It is very disturbing. But you know, these are COVID-19 victims of the coronavirus for the most part, and you're going to see and hear from loved ones that are distraught over their parents being potentially amongst these bodies that were just handled with a lot of disrespect, and it is a disgrace. So thank you for being in here, Froggy. I appreciate it. So let me segue over to the second screen, and I'll be right back to you guys. Stand by. Here we go. Of course, I have technical difficulty. Give me 2 seconds, guys. As they say, oy vey. Okay, I got it. Never give up. Yay, I got it. All right, I stuck with it. Here we go, guys.
Who are they? Who are the people who died? 100 of them, and their bodies left in unrefrigerated trucks outside a funeral home in Brooklyn. Every one of those bodies, once a life, once with a story. Loved ones now wondering, are there missing family members among these bodies? And how did this happen? Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett live at the scene in the Flatland sections with the questions, maybe some answers, and this disturbing story. Newt.
Well, that is a great question, Bill. The mayor today, as you know, called it unconscionable. The state health department has ordered an investigation. Now, in the last 45 minutes, they brought in this refrigerated box truck to help remove the corpses. So how did it come to this? Residents tonight are demanding answers.
I'm going to do whatever in my power to make sure they're held accountable.
Rabena Durbin is furious tonight. Her 58-year-old mother, Helen Mona, died from COVID-19 on Sunday after 2 weeks on a ventilator and is believed to be among dozens of corpses at the Andrew Cleckley Funeral Home. Some said to be piled inside, others stacked in 2 unrefrigerated U-Haul trucks outside the building.
I feel hurt. I feel angry. I mean, I can't tell you that in a couple of days.
I got to tell you, I stopped it here just for a second because I feel so horrible for this woman. This is her mom passed away from COVID-19, and she's now obviously distraught, losing her mom. You know I just lost my mom. It's coming up on a year this month. It's May 1st here in New York. It's already past midnight. So May 9th is the 1-year anniversary of me losing my mom. And I look at this poor woman, and it makes me want to cry, because here she is looking at news reports that her mom was one of the, and she probably knows that her mom was picked up by this funeral home. Hello, Fred. Thank you for joining. So terrible. Bridget, thanks for coming. Hello, Matt Sully, and good to see you. Soul for Music. Bridget Parker, good to see you. Let me let the rest of this go. Very sad. Very, very sad.
Many emotions I've gone through, but
Outside the building.
I'm feel hurt. I feel angry. I mean, I can't tell you that in a couple of days how many emotions I've gone through. But I think the last emotion that I'm feeling and the one that I'm feeling right now is anger.
City and state officials rushed to the scene, where nearby residents and shopkeepers said the stench from so many decomposing bodies was overpowering. The mayor was at a loss to explain it.
Why on earth did they not either alert the state, who regulate them, or go to their NYPD precinct and ask for help? Do something rather than leave the bodies there. It's unconscionable to me.
The owner of the funeral home could not be reached for comment, but he was quoted by the New York Times as saying he ran out of space and had bodies, quote, coming out of our ears. Some may have been moved into a refrigerated tractor trailer. Today, several relatives came searching for answers.
They said they have 50 bodies in the truck, so I don't know if it's my brother here or it's somewhere else.
The state health commissioner said there were no prior complaints, but ordered an investigation, quote, to immediately address reports of these unacceptable conditions.
Let me just say this. I know from confirmed, one of my friends who's a police officer works in the precinct that responded to this horrific situation here. Close to, he said, if not more than 100 bodies were in combination of the 2 U-Haul trucks that you see parked out front, and they had bodies, he described it as, all over the entire funeral home. So there was human remains, there were bodies all inside the building, as well as overflow in these unrefrigerated U-Haul trucks. And anybody that's a funeral director or that's been a police officer as long as I have can tell you that, you know, the smell of a decomposing human body is nothing. It's like nothing you've ever smelled before. And once you smell it, you know, for the rest of your life, you know the difference between rotting meat, bad food. You know the difference, and I got to tell you, it's something that it doesn't leave you. The funeral business is regulated by the state of New York. It's not regulated by the city or locals. It's New York State. The license is issued by the Department of New York State. So all he had to do is reach out to the state or call his local precinct and say, hey, I'm being overrun here and I need help. And the city would have brought a refrigerated truck there. And this is not, just also disclaimer, this is not the only funeral home that this has happened in the city. It's happened to at least 2 others that I know of, and they didn't report it, whether it's money driven or what the case may be, whatever it is, whether it is a bad judgment call or money driven, it's horrific either way. It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. So these are humans. You know, they need to be treated with dignity and respect, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
To ensure public health and restore dignity to the decedents. Funeral homes and morgues must be accountable for their actions. Rabina Durbin had contracted with another funeral home.
Moonshadow, there's no criminality here, but they definitely could be sued. Crystal Harmony said they could be sued. Diane, I agree. So sad. It's heartbreaking. I mean, like I said, Sandy K, yes. You know, I lost my mom coming up on a year. It'll be it's already May 1st, so another 8 days, and you know, it's a rough month for me, and I just can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. Bells Reborn, thank you so much for your kind words. So let's let the rest of this go.
And has no idea how her mother's body ended up here.
We go through that emotion of grief and just crying, and now, for me, is anger. Now, I want somebody to answer for this.
Now, where the corpses will be taken from here is still not clear tonight. Under New York State law, the failure to treat a corpse with respect and dignity is grounds for misconduct. And the state health commissioner today said there will be fines and suspensions.
Okay, so fines and suspensions really, you know, in my eyes, are, you know, I feel it should be much more than that. I feel it should be much more than that. Let me segue to this tiny cam here. Hold on a second. I want to just queue up one more video for you.
Death toll rates comes the challenge for families.
All right, here's one more video I'll show you guys real quick, and then we will we'll come back to this.
To prepare a proper burial and service for their loved ones that have been lost. Now, funeral directors have found themselves just high death toll rates. With those high death toll rates comes the challenge for families to prepare a proper burial and service for their loved ones that have been lost. Now, funeral directors have found themselves just as overwhelmed as our frontline workers. CBS 2's Tara Jakeway has more on that.
Joe Iavelli's great-grandfather opened a funeral home in Brooklyn back in 1888. That grew to 6 locations throughout the city, none of them ready for what would hit in 2020.
We basically have done a month's worth of volume in like 4 or 5 days.
The mounting loss of lives claimed by COVID-19 has turned what was once a labor of love and comfort into an exhaustive effort.
A transportation and storage operation.
Iavelli says NYC's recent directive for EMTs to not take cardiac arrest patients to the hospital if they can't save them in the field takes the hospital system out of play entirely. And with the medical examiner's office overwhelmed,
the hospitals are so stressed, and understandably so, that they're just leaving the bodies in the homes.
That's where his colleague Pat Marmo comes in.
I have a table full. Each one of those papers and ID bands is people that have to be transferred from a place of death to our facility.
We are the in-between time custodians.
And they're the curators of the space.
All right, so these are funeral directors. This report was mid-April. This report was, I believe, mid-April. And these are good guys. These are the good guys telling the news that, hey, we're overwhelmed and it's going to get worse. Because if you guys don't know, if you're not from the New York metropolitan area, or even if you're living in the United States, you may not know this. But for the past 40 days, we've had 799 people die in a 24-hour period here in New York. And then it slowly creeped down. But for 8 solid days, it was 700 every day. So if you look at the math on that, and if you look at how much horror and how much death these funeral directors were handling on a overwhelming level, like nothing anybody's ever seen. It's so hard to even grasp that concept. I mean, we just had, today was 300, I think, 303. The number went down today, but it was 330 and 360 the day before, 338. So Soulful Music, just ignore that, please. Everybody that's here that knows me, when there's a less than ideal comment, and I'm only going to say this once, I'm not going to say it again. If there's any jagaloonish comments, any comments that are ridiculous, my moderators will take care of it. Please don't repeat it, or you will get timed out as well. So do me a favor and just ignore it, and I'm not going to say that again. Everybody that knows me knows to do that. So let's let the rest of this go. And the reason I'm showing you this is to let you see the good funeral directors. These are the guys and gals that are on the front lines, and they're telling you about how bad it is. So
Left after a person passes, they provide peace. But when New York City is at war, there are
transferred from a place of death to our facility.
We are the in-between time custodians.
And they're the curators of the space left after a person passes. They provide peace. But when New York City is at war, there are mass casualties.
Sometimes there's 3 or 4 trailers backed up to a loading dock, and there might be 150 decedents that you have to look through.
Foreign territory for these veteran funeral directors, a hospital's refrigerator trailer parked outside, but every day they venture inside without adequate supplies.
We were able to get some Lysol a couple of days.